Hello, once again, this is Carter Clues. Welcome to the Offshore Investment Report with the Offshore Oracle, Mike Cobb. We're going to talk to you today about what I think is one of the best offshore investments available on the offshore market today, and that's what I call the cozy homes. And the Mike Cobb communities are the best of the bunch. So, Mike, welcome.
Thanks, Carter. Always good to be back with you. I'm sitting here kind of watching you do the intro, and I'm like, where is that West Virginia Caribbean hat today?
it's just so hard to believe. You know, every time I look at it, I start laughing.
There you go.
That is that, and I bought it at a 7-Eleven in Marlow, West Virginia. You could not get further from.
I love it.
Further from the palm trees and the beach than Marlow, West Virginia, 7-Eleven, man. What are you buying that hat for? Everyone buying it. What are you buying that hat for?
Yeah. I don't know. I love it though. That's good.
I love it. It works. Works for me. Yeah. I'm going to go back and sell some offshore property. So talking about selling offshore property, talk about offshore property in general. One of the areas, you know, we have members, over 100,000 members now of the Offshore Club, and they are right across the board. Some are very, very well to do. I happen to know one who just joined our Offshore Club Friendship Village, our Facebook forum, just joined the other day, who is, you know, you would love the guy because he is a true entrepreneur. To put it in context, he bought the Mrs. Smith's Pie Factory here in York, which is a block from me, and turned it into his own business and home. So this guy is mega. So there you have it. The one in there, he is interested in offshore properties. Some of them like Grand Pacific. I think you have some homes up to $1 million, right?
Yeah, we do.
The luxury homes. Then we go all the way down to the, excuse me, the homes that I call the cozy homes. Okay. Some idiot named them tiny homes. And I can guarantee you this, whoever that was not Shakespeare, Beowulf, F. Scott Fitzgerald, or Hemingway. Okay. Because they're not tiny. They are cozy and they are gorgeous and they are part of a Mike Cobb community. And you have a bunch of different communities. Let me show them. Look.
Yeah.
This is Belize.
Yep. That's Belize.
Cozy homes in Belize. Let me show. I love showing.
Well, there they are. Yep.
There
over the water.
Go. Look at this, folks.
Over the water. They're the first 20 are actually under construction right now, Carter. Be finished up in May. We're very excited.
Very exciting. And look at this. The club right there. The club. Once again, what is really key to me, and look, obviously you're the expert. You're the one building them. The key to me is it's a real Mike Cobb community. You're not just buying a home that's in the middle of nowhere and, you know, sink or swim. And, you know, quite frankly, I think if you do that down there, you are going to swim and it's going to be great. But imagine buying in a real community like the one I just showed everybody, where all your neighbors have gorgeous homes, the clubhouse is there, coffee shop, restaurant. So first of all, how many cozy home communities does ECI have now, and where are they?
Sure. So we have 2 under construction. This is a relatively new phenomenon. We started last spring, so we've been under construction about a year now with a couple of the communities. So one at our Grand Pacifica and one in Belize. So we have 2 very, very different. The ones in Belize, as you saw, are over the water. The ones at Grand Pacifica are about 100 yards from a phenomenal surf break. But they're spectacular as part of our Grand Pacifica community. We also have a tiny cozy home. Now, Carter, I'm gonna come back to that for a second. The people that invented the word tiny home are not your generation. They're not my generation. They're the generation that loves tiny homes is really the millennials, and they like that because they're minimalist and a tiny home appeals to them. But for you and me, cozy home is really the right word. And you're right, they're not tiny. I mean, like
they're not tiny.
They're not tiny.
You know, it reminds me remember the first time I had a bad throat as a kid, and I went to the doctor, and he turned to the nurse and said, "Hand me a tongue suppressor." And I said, "Say what?" And he said, "It's not as bad as it sounds." I said, "For God's sake, I hope not." you know, a tongue suppressor.
Tongue suppressor.
Well,
Yeah, right.
it's not a tiny home, you know, it
Yeah.
actually is, folks. Look at these.
It's a cozy home. Yeah.
It's a cozy home.
A
I mean,
cozy
it's a
home.
place, there is plenty of room. There is plenty of room, the bedroom, living area,
Yeah.
kitchen, everything you can want.
Rooftop,
Rooftop,
right? Rooftop.
rooftop.
I mean, you end up with somewhere between 900 and, depending on the which of the cozy homes you pick, anywhere between 900 and 1,500 feet of living space.
Incredible.
Right?
Incredible.
Yeah. Right.
That's huge.
Yep.
That's huge.
But a lot of it's outside. Carter, you know, when you live in the tropics, you spend a lot of time outdoors, but you want shade. So you want it to be a shaded, you know, covered porch or patio, or up top, like a rooftop terrace. You want that under some shade, right? But if you have that, it's very comfortable because there's a nice breeze. You're hanging out. You're enjoying the view across the bay and the sunsets or the sunrise if you're looking the other way in the morning. And you know, I mean, it's nice. It's really nice.
And so in Belize, let's talk about those in Belize now, because that's the pictures we just showed people. You're talking about a home that is plenty big enough for two people to live very, very nicely. And folks, keep in mind, I always think of it this way. How much time, even in your own home, do you spend inside your house? And if so, how much of it do you actually live in? Okay. My wife and I live in our bedroom, our kitchen, and a little bit the living room, and she sews in the dining room. You've been there, you've seen it all. That's it. And it's a cozy home. But I used to, years ago, I had an 11-room home in Westminster, Maryland, and I realized that there was, I would go a year without seeing 9 of the rooms. You know,
sure.
What the hell am I doing?
Well, you know, and that's what's driving the trend, actually. I mean, these millennials who grew up in, you know, 6-7 bedroom giant homes in the suburbs, you know, I mean, they don't want a lot of stuff. They don't have a lot of stuff to fill, you know, whatever you said, 11, 12 rooms in a house or whatever. And so that they want something that's very, very economical, something they can afford without a giant mortgage. I mean, they're not looking for giant mortgages either. And so, you know, in Belize, the cozy homes start around 200. But at Grand Pacifica, they start about 125. And so, you know, we offer up to 80% financing. So somebody comes along and at our Grand Pacifica community and they put up like 30 grand, right? And 40 grand, whatever it is. Right. And a lot of folks have that. I mean, it's still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. 30, 40 grand is a lot of money. But, you know, a lot of millennials have pretty good paying jobs and you know, they don't have mortgages at the moment for many of them. And so they have 30, 40 grand. And here's the really cool thing, Carter, they can actually then go live in this cozy home in a tremendous location if they like to surf or horseback ride. And they can most of them can do their jobs from anywhere. And so now all of a sudden they own a home in paradise. They get to enjoy the quality of life that they always wanted to enjoy and now can, and they can continue to work and they can afford it. I mean, it is a powerful, good package. I mean,
it's a great package. I mean, let's talk about the Grand Pacific, okay?
Sure.
You said 125,000, right?
Yep.
125,000 for a home that is how far is it from? I mean, Grand Pacifica is built on 3.5 million, 3.5 miles.
Yes.
Million miles of beachfront. How far are the cozy homes at Grand Pacifica from the beach itself? If the people said, let's walk down the beach.
What depends on, I mean, the community itself is, you know, it's deep, but if you're on the first row, you are 100 yards from the ocean. And if you're, you know, if you're in the middle of the circle, then you're probably 150, 175 yards, but nobody is more than 200 yards from the ocean.
From the ocean. Nobody. So you're moving into a community, you're getting a home that, let's say, round figure, when you talk about veranda and everything else, 1,000 square feet, just round figure. Okay. So, which is plenty of room, plenty of living room, and very, very nicely laid out, I might add.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the pictures of the inside. Gorgeously appointed. As usual, you've done a wonderful job with that. So you're living in a beautiful home. You're most of the time you're spending on the veranda. You're 200 yards at most from the beach. Okay. And you have I think it's 9-hole golf course, right?
Do, yeah.
Yeah.
Restaurant, bar,
Or
infinity swimming pool, tons of residents. I mean, there's over 100 folks there. Many of them, fairly young people, many with kids. I mean, we got families with kids there doing homeschooling. Bunch of crypto people, part of the community now. So it's and a lot of Nicaraguans, a lot of
sure.
locals live there too. I mean, about 20% of our property owners are Nicaraguan. So it's not this idea of a gated community excluding. It's very inclusive. I mean, we have an incredible, wonderful, very diverse group of people, young, old, Nicaraguan, North American, European. We have some South Americans as well. So it's really a neat bunch of people. Yeah.
Horseback riding, right?
Yep.
Horseback
Yep.
riding. I mean, just everything you could possibly want. You are buying into a real community,
Yeah.
a ready-made community. You just can't beat it. And it's a modern community. It's beautiful, safe, secure,
Yep.
gated, guarded community, full-time gardeners, right?
Yep.
So,
And great bandwidth. I mean, and for internet, I mean,
oh,
again,
good.
people can easily work there. The bandwidth is, I mean, we have a microwave point to point to the ARC2 cable, which, feeds the Americas their internet, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're point to point microwave to that cable. So if somebody said, I need a billion terabits of width, I'm making up, I have no idea, but they wanted some outrageous amount of internet bandwidth, no problem. We can deliver it.
It's
Right.
all right there. Folks, everything you could possibly want is at this community. And keep this in mind. Let me touch back on this. So you said that you can get 80% financing. All right.
Correct.
Let's say you are a person who works remote with the internet you just mentioned, state of the art internet, and you're making 80, let's just say 80. I was going to say 100, but let's say just 80,000 a year, right? Which is not that much. If you're really a successful writer, I'm a writer. Other people have other sorts of coding skills, whatever internet people do. So let's just say you're making 80,000 a year. Well, folks, think about it for a second. You don't pay taxes. U.S. IRS taxes are deferred on your first 100,000 earning. So
you got to be Carter. You got to be really, really careful saying that. That may or may not be true depending on the person's source of income. So be very careful. That people need to consult their accountant or tax advisor on that. That could get both of us landed in a lot of hot water. So
we don't want that. They should talk.
We don't want that.
They need to talk to Joe Nagel about that.
There you go.
But it is something to look into, folks. That there is a deferred tax program which helps, which can help offset a lot of costs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
so you're in a position where you own your own home in a gorgeous, gorgeous community, and your cost of living is just, I'm going to say, and you know this better than I do because you spend a lot more time in Nicaragua than I do. I know in Honduras, your cost of living is about a quarter of what it is in the U.S.
Carter, I'd say it's similar. I mean, Honduras, Nicaragua, I mean, it's between a quarter and a third of what your cost of living in the States is. But you know what? To me, it's a higher quality of life. The weather is great. You can have somebody to clean up if you want somebody to clean, or somebody to garden if you don't want to do that, but you can eat organic. I mean, everything. Look, if you eat organic in the States, it's extra cost. It's more expensive, right? Than eating the processed crap that they sell at the supermarket. But there, the processed stuff is the expensive stuff. The organic stuff is the super inexpensive stuff. So it's so easy to eat healthy and live a lifestyle that I would say is superior to one in the States, for many people, maybe even most people. Yeah.
Yeah. You're living, I always think whenever I go to Starbucks and they have the bananas for sale on the counter and they're $1.25 per banana. And I think to myself, and they're old. And I think to myself, when I'm in Honduras, I get a fresh banana just off the tree for a nickel.
I was going to say a dime, right? Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. So it's just incredible.
And it's ripe. It wasn't picked green, hard green, and then shipped and chemicalized to ripen it. No. This thing actually ripened right on the banana tree. I know. There's the flavor that's the other thing. Yeah. People just don't understand how delicious tree ripened or vine ripened or natural stuff that's picked ripe tastes. Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Yeah, the flavor is unbelievable.
So if you move to, let's stick with Grand Pacifica, the
Yeah.
cozy homes in Grand Pacifica. So you're in there, you own your own home now. Um, you've paid next to nothing.
Yep.
If you decide to do it, 30,000 down payment, it's yours, and you have a minuscule payment a month, which is far less than you're going to
Yeah.
pay in taxes alone in the U.S. In
Yep.
taxes alone in the U.S. Property
Exactly.
taxes.
Yep.
And fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, obviously. How about
Yep.
the meats at Grand Pacifica? There must be great fish markets
Oh
around
my
there.
gosh. Let's not even call it a fish market. Like the restaurant goes down to the edge of the property, right where the river meets the ocean. And I think a couple days a week, I can't remember what days they are, but 2 days a week, they go down, they meet a couple fishermen, pull in. By the way, at night, you can see out on the horizon in the sea, you can see, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 fishing boats out there. You can see their lights, right? And so
Right.
a couple days a week, they come in, they come in every day, of course. But anyway, a couple of days a week, a few of them show up at the Grand Pacifica coastline, and our restaurant goes down and they buy what they need for the next 2-3 days, and they do it every 3 days or whatever, right? And I know many residents also go, and it's kind of what you get the pick of what you get. But here's the really cool thing. Because all these fishermen are out there all the time, they all have radios, they're talking to each other. You say, hey, look, I'd really like mackerel, I'd really like tuna, or I want snapper, or whatever it is.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's not a guarantee. I mean,
Yeah.
whatever they catch is whatever they catch, right?
Right.
But I know that for the most part, you can get the kinds of fish you want. And you're going to get this giant hunk of tuna for, I don't know, $12 or something, right? And then you can freeze a bunch of it. And I think a lot of people do that, right? They cut the steaks and then they freeze them so they have their tuna. Yes, and the meat, but the eggs are free. Like they call them love eggs because they're actually fertilized eggs, right? They're not the hormone induced egg laying eggs. These are chickens laying eggs, like they always have for a million years, right?
Yeah.
And the meats and stuff like that you can get at the local markets as well. The one thing I would say, if you like an aged steak, okay, you can't get that because I mean they're doing the slaughter and they're giving you the meat, like a steak, right?
Right.
So
Right.
marination, you want to do some things because it's not an aged steak. That's the one difference that I think many people have to kind of get over. But if you want an aged steak, go into Managua and go to the Porterhouse, steakhouse and get a giant aged ribeye steak. For I don't know, $14-15. I mean, it's just like insane how inexpensive eating out is too. But yeah.
My wife and I went to the Haas Steakhouse, or whatever it was called, up in Hagerstown. You know Hagerstown, up
I
toward
do. Yeah.
your place. I think the steak was $50, over $50, and
Unbelievable, isn't it?
It was all gristle.
Yeah.
And it was like so, and
And that cow was producing milk about a month ago. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
horrible.
It may have died of old age. So that's the aging it had. So it's so much better. Wrapping this up on the, you mentioned Managua. So you're living at Grand Pacifica. You have your home there. That's I always think of a home, it's my opinion, as home base. Okay.
Yeah.
It's home base. When I was a kid growing up in inner city, my dad was a Methodist minister. We lived in the parsonage. I lived on the avenue, 36th Street. Okay. I visited the home base every night for dinner, spent the night, and it was back up on the avenue.
Boom, out and about.
Out and about. And I think how most people really prefer to live. How about restaurants and the nightlife and when I say nightlife, I'm not talking nightclubbing. If someone wants to do that, they can. But I'm talking just enjoying themselves, the shopping malls, the general theater, that type of thing in Managua. What are people going to find?
Yeah, I mean, tons of restaurants, tons of great restaurants, every kind of food you would imagine. Phenomenal sushi. I love sushi, so I frequented a couple sushi places, but steakhouses, Italian restaurants, Middle Eastern food. I mean, normal, Buffalo Wild Wings. I mean, hey, you want Burger King, McDonald's? We got that too, right? Quiznos subs. So the whole range of things. Movie theaters showing first run U.S. movies in English, inexpensive. $2-3 for the ticket, another $2-3 for the popcorn. I mean, it's just like it's insane. they actually have a great theater. We've seen operas. My daughters are ballet dancers, so we saw, lots of ballets that came through, operas. Again, lots of culture that comes through Managua. It's the capital city, right? So you get a lot of that, and to go to the movies or go out to dinner is between 45 and 50 minutes. To go to the theater to see a ballet or an opera or something like that, figure just under an hour, maybe just call it an hour, right? So it's still very convenient to go from the beach back to Managua for these activities. And I mean, they have a Costco and Walmart, and I mean, so you got big box stores, you got big hardware stores that are like Home Depots and Lowe's, so you got all that stuff too. It's really nice. By the way, I actually have to jump off in a second, but I would be remiss if I didn't come back to Belize just for a moment. I gotta come back to Belize. Last week, I just got back from Belize. We had our groundbreaking for our Marriott hotel there, our Marriott Resort and Residence. Is so exciting. And it's different than the cozy home. These are more of a residential product, oceanfront residential product. But again, the affordability is there. They start about $350 and they go up to a couple $1 million, right, for the giant super penthouse and all that kind of stuff. But a beautiful oceanfront residence in a Marriott resort for $350, right? I mean, so again, it's a different price point, it's a different product, but I just had to talk about that because so excited to be finally underway. It's been a long time coming, but very, very exciting, Carter.
Fantastic. I saw some footage. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I know you got to run. So folks, keep in mind, everything we've talked about here would cost you 10 times as much in the US, and you would not live nearly as well. It's very simple. Thank you, sir. This was great.
Thanks, Carter. Good to see you as always.
We appreciate it. We'll do it again next week.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Mike. All right, folks, there you have it. Cozy homes, tiny homes, whatever you want to call them. I think down south, they call them casolitas, casa, sol, sun, small casolitas. Fantastic. It's a great lifestyle and incredibly affordable. Can all be yours, and you can live a good life at a great price. So let's do this thing.